Bill Cosby returns to television with something new, own unique style.
You gonna be in there long?
Norton Furniture is here for you. Now, seriously, if you can't get credit in my store, you can't get credit anywhere. My name is Mark, and you can count on it.
540, join.
Join the fun. All have some.
Blow it up now, give it a whack. Turn up the fun with Balzac. Hit it.
Hello. I am sorry, but I must
31
interrupt this
Grammy.
show.
Later,
you know what it is. Hey, ham solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's turn out we do. Hey. They said we said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said strong. They said we said go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a wheel. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you on red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you Red Fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission.
The intro was playing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, mine. I was in the middle of a song.
It wasn't. It is still not playing on mine, so we're just live now. Screw it.
Let's go.
We're live. Screw it. I don't know what's going on with my screen. In fact, I might have to refresh and come back here in just a second. But anyways, welcome to... Are we live right now? Is this actually saying that we're live?
It says live.
Okay, cool. Because like on my screen, it does not show that. Shout out to Edmucks. We're
YouTube and
you guys are crushing it right now. But anyways, we are doing it live, I guess, right now. Kicking it, about to talk about some games and stuff that's going on. But obviously, the first thing that we usually like to do here, like many other podcasts, we like to talk about what we've been playing lately. So, Matt, I'm going to work on something real quick, but please tell them what's been happening with you. What have you been playing and such?
Yeah, I've been playing Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. Been playing that. I've been playing Fallout 4. I've been playing Cyberpunk. I've been playing so much stuff. But the main one is Tainted Grail. I'm in Act 2 of Tainted Grail. I mean, I'm guessing that's how they divvy it up as acts. They don't really tell you that it's acts, but there's one area, there's a second area, and there's a third area. I'm in the second area. I'll say, just if I'm being honest, second area is a bit of a fall. I mean, I got to explore more. I got to do more stuff, but second area is a bit of a fall off after the first area. First area is really, really good, and the second area is just kind of all right. It's fine. But I mean, I'm still playing it, still having fun. But really, I'm just not even really waiting for a game right now. I'm really just waiting for the showcase.
Yeah.
I'm just really waiting for the showcase right now.
I'm waiting for all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of shit going on. But like, I even thought about. In fact, I downloaded it again. I downloaded Witcher because you sent me a message about the Witcher 3 dynamic background,
right?
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And now I have it on my Xbox every time I boot it up, and I'm like, I should play Witcher. And so I downloaded that. I don't know what I'm playing right now. I'm playing way too many things, and I'm not focused on one particular thing. It's my typical problem I always have.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at until the games that I know I want come out. I'm just kind of just shoveling things around, playing stuff. Like I was emulating on my Steam Deck for a little while, playing some Doom, the Dark Ages for a while. Tried out your game, Tainted Grail. Played that for a little bit. Picked up Vampire Survivors again. Been screwing around with that. Playing some games on my phone even. Like I'm just like kind of just messing around until I actually get to where I want to get. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've been playing lately. Just a bunch of just random crap. Not really particularly too stoked about anything that I'm playing right now. I know I mentioned Doom in there, but as I told Matt, like I'm looking for something to chill and play, not something to stress and play. Like Doom for me is a very particular time, or I'm stressed out and I need to relieve some stress, or like that's how I play Doom. I look at Doom almost like a medication that I take very seldomly. Compared to something that I just need to knock out and play over and over and over. Games like that, games that I need to play a lot are games that are just more relaxing for me. Like Metaphor was really great for me. The new Dune game's going to be really good for me. Expedition 33 was pretty dang chill. Like there's just a lot of games I'm looking forward to that are chill. What is it? Oblivion is pretty damn chill.
Yeah.
Right. So I might be getting back into that some more just because that's more of my style of playing. But the reason that I haven't been playing, the reason I haven't been playing Oblivion like crazy is because I just know how big that game is. And I know that by the time I kind of get like knee deep into it, there'll be something else. So it's like I'm not trying to give it too much of my time because I know that there's going to be something else. And when I get to that moment where it's going to be something dope in Oblivion, it's going to be too late. It's going to be me doing something else. So I'm more or less just roaming the world in that game and not really doing like story or anything.
Yeah.
But hello to those of you that are in the chat. Fuzzy Tomato, thanks for sliding through. We got Sapo here as well. We got the almighty hater, Seawolf, up in the stream, kicking it with us. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Yeah, sure. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry, summer just started, so my daughter's always running back and forth asking me if she can play and go outside and stuff like that. But we were talking, we're briefly talking a little bit about this post that I put up on Twitter. And it had to do with, the thumbnail that you guys may have seen, talking about Elden Ring Night Rain, and how explosive that game has kind of been so far. It's only been out for like a day or two now?
A day.
Yeah. And it's already like garnered like over 300,000+ people to play it.
Concurrent.
And concurrent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just on Steam, right? That has nothing to do with like Xbox or PlayStation, and it's blowing up pretty big. I found it interesting that it got a 7 out of 10. And a lot of people are arguing with me saying, those are two totally different games. You can't look at the number of players that are in it and value the game. And that's where it has me messed up, is because we're pretending like there was no beta for Concord before it came out. So we knew what it was, but clear before the review even came out for it. We knew how it looked, how it played, how it felt. And a lot of people were just like, nah, that's not for me. But this game, although it still has some moments, and me and Matt watched a preview for this game and was like, hell no. We don't want Elden Ring Night Rain, right? We're good from that.
I don't need that.
But a lot of other people disagree. A lot of them, and I'm not saying that they're giving it high praise in rating sense, but something tells me something ain't right when you got two multiplayer games, whether they're in the same genre or not. One has 300,000 concurrent players one day after launch, and the other one on launch couldn't even garner 1,000.
Yeah. Dude.
So to me, just the 7 just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I have a little bit more that I want to add to that. But before I go to that, and while I get this kind of set up in the background, I want you to kind of tell me, what are your kind of thoughts when you see this? And I'm not asking you to defend me because I don't need that. Because I do know that, and I agree with a lot of people. Yo, these are two totally different games. Reviewing is different than expectation with player count. Elden Ring has its name behind it compared to Concord. They didn't have really anything as a new IP. But then my arguments like Stellar Blade is a new IP and Concord is a new IP. Sure, one of them's not online, but you could look at Stellar Blade's concurrent count and it crushes anything that Concord's ever done. But they were both rated a 7 from IGN. So if you can maybe help me understand, or maybe just go off on your own tangent of why you think these scores are either making sense or lacking making sense.
So I'm looking something up just for my own curiosity here. Okay, so if we're gonna do the whole Concord's a new IP, it's being rated differently for some reason because it's a new IP. Titanfall on Xbox One was a new IP. If you check Metacritic, it's 86 right now on Metacritic. If I go to Concord on Metacritic, it's at a 62. User score. Okay, so user score on Titanfall is 6.8. User score on Concord is 1.7. So these are both new IPs that are rated on their, that should be rated on their merits. Titanfall was rated very, very well on its merits because it was a very well put together game. Multiplayer only, but a very complete thing. Concord was rated on its merits. It wasn't a great game. Really, it had solid gameplay. It had pretty poor art design, and people didn't like it. And plus, you had the whole the same thing that happens to every other game nowadays. On top of that, but I don't see why it's different. I don't see why it's different. I really don't. I mean, if someone wants to say it's different, I would really love to know how.
What I was kind of saying earlier was what I was saying to somebody in on Twitter was, yo, Night Rain could totally be a 7. It like having that game at a 7 could make sense, right? But when you have other things standing next to it that don't make sense with that exact same score, it kind of then makes the one we're talking about now make less sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
I know I'm saying it makes sense a lot. but I want you to let me know if you can hear this.
Platform that opens a game up to a new.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to turn my audio to where I can hear it. I can't hear nothing. But here's one of the examples that I wanted to use. Hear it. All right, cool. So yeah, here's one of the examples I wanted to use. So this video was called Another 7 IGN. Why so many games score 7 and above? All right, and I picked a specific segment into this because I listened to this a few times, and I want you to tell me maybe if you need more context after listening to this, or if you understand and like it or dislike it, okay? Yeah. So you, Matt, listen to it, and those of you watching, whether you're at home, at work, or out and about doing whatever, listen to it and just tell me if what you conclude after listening to this makes sense to the scores and the way that they do stuff over there. And then tell me if I'm right or wrong for the way that I'm coming up with how I think about this whole way of them rating games and stuff. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Another opportunity to come around, such as a port to another platform that opens a game up to a new audience or a streaming date.
Makes it a truly remarkable RPG.
So why is it that the big name stuff rarely seems to score below a 7, which means good on IGN's review scale?
It's ultimately more of a striking modern mimic than a scary new mutation.
Simply put, if something doesn't at least look like it might be great, people didn't click on it or Google it, and we probably didn't review it as a result. But if it does look great enough to pique your interest, it usually ends up being at least okay.
Combat is flashy and fun enough to entertain.
And especially in the case of a big budget game, publishers have to be feeling pretty confident about them being reasonably well received for them to make it to the point of being released at all. Maybe the publisher has even hired some freelance writers to do mock reviews under non-disclosure agreements to see how it might score on release, and many of them came back with 5s or lower. Most of the time, a publisher is going to cancel that game and pivot to a more promising project. When that happens, it never sees the light of day, much less gets reviewed. And games are cancelled like this all the time, before we even know they exist. Of course, some very rough productions do still come out for whatever reason, and when they do, we have no issues giving a 5 to a highly marketed game like Gotham Knights or a big name movie like Black Adam. But it's relatively rare that so much time and money is spent on creating something that falls so short of being at least okay, if not good, great, or even amazing. And that's why the great majority of our reviews end up on the top half of the scale. When it comes to the big events, they're usually safe bets, and in most cases, the question isn't if they'll be good, but how good they'll be.
A worthy thief's end.
Do you need more context, or do you understand?
I get what he's trying to say. Yeah.
So, from what I heard there, and you guys let me know if I'm wrong in the chat. I don't mind if I'm wrong, because I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. From what I thought I just heard is the game was popular enough to be talked about a bunch. So they reviewed it, and seeing that of whatever state the game came to them in, they already have kind of a pre-score for it. And then they just add to it, essentially, if they think it's good or bad.
Yeah.
That sounded messy. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, that to me sounds like they just default. Like 7 is their default. Like when they get a game, it feels like to me when they get it especially after hearing that, it feels like to me when they get a game, their plan is we're going to give it a 7 unless the game gives us specific reasons to do otherwise. Whether that's up from a 7 or down from a 7, our initial plan is to give this game a 7, is what that sounds like.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
Because that's just like, I know a lot of people looked at my tweet and were like, man, he's beating up on the reviewers and stuff like that. And I'm not beating up on the reviewers as much as I'm beating up on the way the company tells them to review it. You see, because like I said, I don't feel like the person that reviewed Night Rain did a bad job. When he taught, when me and you, Matt, sat there and listened to Night Rain, he broke it down.
Yes.
And I personally think he did a good job of what he did with it, because he knew what it was going to be like. He played it solo, could feel the unbalancedness of the game and stuff like that. And he came back with his score, which for for that title and for the stuff that it does and the fun that you can have within it, which I do think there's fun to be had. I'm just not really big into what's that genre called, Matt? Roguelike. Roguelike or roguelite. I'm not really huge into that, but I'll dabble with it a little bit. I'm just probably not going to buy it full price, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I seen his score based off of what he said, it made sense. Like seeing that 7 made sense.
Yeah.
But I did the same. We did the same thing when we watched the Concord review, and we're just like, we thought the game was kind of fun, but it had no, like it had so many things going against it versus the little bit of fun that you had within it, right? Me and you thought the game was fun, but it wasn't worth buying.
Yeah.
Should have been a free to play game.
Yep.
Felt kind of slow. Like we had the score doesn't mean the game's fun or not, but I definitely do think that it does have something to do with, are people actually gonna buy this? Are people actually interested in this? And before Concord came out, we knew nobody was like interested in this game. But somehow during the launch week, it gets as high as a 7. And I don't think really anybody except maybe like J Barry Strife and a couple other folks out there that actually liked that game. But majority of the folks didn't want it, didn't care about it.
Yeah.
Nobody was asking for a port of it to Xbox. Where is it on that? Nobody said that. Keep that shit. We got Overwatch. That's what everybody was saying. But yeah, I just don't understand it, and I'm trying to understand it. And let me go over to the chat and see if the chat has anything interesting to have said about it. Fuzzy Tomato earlier says, I'll probably give the Stellar Blade demo another shot. I played a bit of it on PS5, but didn't get into it. Sapo says, but it doesn't make sense. If you're talking about the same thing that we're talking about, then yeah, I agree with you. Ray Chi then says, it's not interested on the game, so even if it was on Game Pass, I wouldn't have tried. Yikes. Sea Wolf says, okay, I don't know. I think he's just arguing. Sapo says, not true. They have COD a 4 because Microsoft was buying. Okay, I think they're just arguing here. I don't know.
Yeah, Seawolf and Sappho are going back and forth.
They always are going at it, man. They're always going at it in the chat. God damn, peace, love, life. We need you. Where are you at, Yobi? But anyways, yeah, you see what I'm kind of talking about with this whole post. I just haven't really made a whole lot of sense of it, and it's not that I completely disagree with a lot of people, but some of the stuff I just found kind of goofy. But like Aaron made a good point. He says, which obviously I don't think this way, but he says, so you think games like Fortnite, League of Legends, and Counter-Strike should have 10 out of 10 since they have the most concurrent players all year round. That's not really what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is they have, like when Fortnite came out, that was a new IP. It got a lot of people interested. Should it be at a 10 out of 10? Maybe, maybe not. Should it be rated higher than something like Concord? Absolutely. Because people actually want to play it. That's all I'm trying to say is people actually want to play this game. It might not be rated the best, but having it rated right next to a game that didn't last 2 weeks because nobody was interested in it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the thing that's, I think, confusing everybody. Is, I mean, like games that are like Elden Ring, Night Rain is the recent example, but like 7 out of 10. Meanwhile, in like the first 24 hours, it sold like 2 million copies. And it's not like it's not like it's selling copies and people are playing it and finding out, oh, this is shit, I'm not going to play it. People it's doing numbers. It's doing legit numbers, and people are really enjoying it, apparently. Versus Concord is like, I mean, Ham kind of said earlier, we both tried the beta. I thought it was fine. I fully intended to play it if it was free to play. The problem is, I think by the time the beta came out, I'm pretty sure we knew that they were going to charge the $40 for it, I think. And I was like, yeah, I'm not spending $40 on this. There's so many other games in this exact same genre. Marvel's Rivals was coming out at the exact same time also. So many games in this exact same genre that are free to play that are just as fun, if not better.
And I ask, why is that not part of the review?
That's the thing I don't understand is like, how is that not taken into account?
Because they literally said it in their in their reasonings behind sevens and stuff like that. That fan reception, the way people talk about it, is also part of their review process.
Yeah,
the hype, the excitement around it. I'm not just doing this to be an asshole. I'm just doing this because it's just like I look and I see a game that I can't buy because it was just not accepted by 98%, if not 99.9% of the community, probably more or less.
Yeah.
Versus a game that came out that may have some issues, but people don't care.
I just think of like, dude, there's so many examples. I'm trying to find like a detailed aggregate of games that IGN has given a 7 out of 10 to, but I know that it's like a meme, it's their thing, and it's just like after hearing that, because I think I've seen, how old is that video? Because I think I might have seen that before, or at least part of it.
Let's see.
But
this was 2 years ago that somebody made this Reddit post that went to this video. Yeah, it was 2 years ago since. Let me see what the actual article says. Yeah, February 3rd, 2023. So a little over 2 years.
So I think I've seen at least part of that video before. And I had the exact same question then that I have now is why is, because again, I come away from watching that thinking 7 is your default. Like when you get a code to review a game, in your mind or in IGN's collective mind, it's just like, okay, this is going to be a 7 unless it explicitly gives me a reason to make it something else. It could go higher, it could go lower. But unless it explicitly gives me a reason, then it's a 7. And it's like, why? It just, first of all, that's one of the things, like, I know I shit on IGN a lot, but that is truly one of the things that makes them seem so generic. Is the fact that, like, there's decent odds that when a game comes out, it's not foolproof, but there's decent odds when a game comes out that you may or may not be interested in, you head on over to IGN and see, I want to see what IGN's saying about this. 7 out of 10. And I don't know about you, but if like there's a game that I'm on the fence about and I see a 7 out of 10 review, that doesn't push me over, or that doesn't push me on either side of the fence. That just makes me go, I still don't know how to feel about this. So like, I don't know. It's just confusing. It doesn't help anybody. And I think they gotta, if that's really their process on this, they probably should reevaluate that. But then again, it's 2 years later and here we are. So they probably didn't.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to them reevaluating it. I think I think they kind of like it because it's always kind of a topic of discussion, right? That kind of gets them, more people to check it out. Whether it makes sense or not, it's just views for them, right?
Yep.
And I don't think my post shook up or did anything in particular, but like I just felt it just felt right just to post something about this, right? Like not I don't really have a specific reason or like, hell to the Concord developers or anything like that. Like I don't really care. Like if their next game comes out and it is a banger, or I mean the studio's closed, so they don't have a next game.
Yeah.
But if they were still alive and they came out with another game, the way I kind of look at these developers and games and stuff like that is like, like we're erasing the chalkboard and starting all over it every time you bring me a new game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to harbor these feelings like some other people do unless I see something similar within a review or preview or show off of the game where I'm just like, oh, that looks just like the last thing. No, I'm good.
Yeah. That makes
But to me, that was kind of frustrating. It was kind of frustrating. It was to me, it was kind of weird to see so many people kind of push back. As I said, I understand. Like this post right here. I've seen stupid things on this app, but this post is near the very top. This dude, I already checked. He's been a member of Twitter since 2012, so I don't know where he's been looking.
Yeah. If you've been on Twitter since 2012, you've seen some stupid shit. So I don't know how this cracks your list. Like, I don't listen. I don't know how someone sees that post and says and has like that kind of reaction to it. Like, if you don't agree with it, fine, whatever. But like, I don't know how you can be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen on this website. No, it's not. It's definitely not. And the thing is, you're not wrong. Their review that's why their review process is a meme, because it's confusing. It's not like a meme amongst our little friend group. It's a fucking community wide meme.
Yeah. I found this whole thing from Reddit. It was a long ass Reddit thread of people just talking about it. People talk 7
every day. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how somebody could be like, how you can be participating in online discussion in this community, like gaming specifically, and then when somebody calls out IGN's reviews, you're like, I can't believe you would do that. Why would you do? Because everybody's doing it, because it's true.
And they had to make a video, to argue their point. Which usually means something ain't right.
Something's going on. Something's going on. I don't know. I don't get like how, like when I think I saw, I don't know if you put that in the chat earlier, or maybe I saw it whenever I booted up Twitter to go to my messages, but I saw like your post and I might not recognize that it was from you, but like I saw that and I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. And to hear you say that people were out like just upset about it, I'm just like, how? Why? How? I don't get it. But I don't know. That's the internet, I guess.
Oh, 100% it is. I mean, I'm seeing more people. By the end of this post, by the time it's over, I might have more comments from people than people that played Concord.
Probably.
There is a possibility of that. And y'all want to argue that, oh, that was a 7. And Elden Ring Night Rain is a 7 too. Just look at it. Just look at the Steam reviews and how it's, average on there. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Concord was less than average on Steam. It was very less than average.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
So that does that argument doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. But anyways, let's talk about something a little bit more positive about Elden Ring Night Rain, because I mean, obviously they busted 2 million already, right? And that's copies sold.
Yes.
Not because it's not on any subscription service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is no fudging the numbers or nothing. It just is what it is. Elden Ring Night Rain came out and has sold over 2 million copies in 24 hours.
Hell yeah.
Which is very impressive, right? It's there. Elden Ring from Soft is sounding a little bit like Activision right now. The way that they're selling and holding them concurrent players, they're kicking ass, man, and good for them.
Yeah,
good for them. Even though I'm not like completely behind what they made, not really into roguelikes or whatnot, it's still intriguing when you see a number like that of that many people playing it. And I'm not gonna lie, when you see a number like that many people playing, it makes you be like, what am I missing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, maybe.
Why is there so
I
many
should get
people playing this game that's supposed to be kind of mid?
it.
And I'm still heavy on the wait for a sell side. But that does garner more interest seeing that many people have played it so far. It also interests me a little bit seeing that Vinny was pretty adamant on wanting to play that the other day. He hopped in our party to see if any of us are buying it, and as soon as we all said no, he left immediately. So I mean, it is popular, and I'm not gonna say that it isn't popular because of Elden Ring or the name of FromSoft or the history. That obviously played a huge part in everybody picking that thing up day one, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Can you look up to see what the concurrent stats are right now for it?
That's so funny you said that, bud, because I was literally just there. All I gotta do is hit the back button a couple times. Elden Ring Night Rain players right now on Steam is 274K.
Okay, so that raised a little bit from the chart that I looked at earlier today. Obviously, it's Friday, people getting off of work and stuff like that here in America. And I think that's where the heaviest Steam players are is probably in America. But yeah, that's heavy. If it was super ass, I don't know, maybe people would be falling off of it in a while. But I'm kind of curious if it gets past the highest count that it got later on tonight.
313.
I wouldn't be surprised.
313. I think I would assume it will. I mean, it's a Friday night. People. I know there's like a bunch of people who are like, "Oh, I got this game on Thursday. I'm not even going to play it Thursday night. I'll play it Friday." Like, there's a lot of people like that. That game's, dude, those numbers are going to go up. That'll go more than 313K for sure.
I don't think it'll break Black Myth though.
I mean, well, shit. Black Myth.
That was like $1 million plus, wasn't it?
That's like an anomaly. That's something that like doesn't happen like almost ever. I'm gonna look what that is.
Yeah, Black Myth and CS:GO stuff is. I mean, even what is it called? What's that? Monster Hunter. Even that game. Lord Almighty.
Black Myth all-time peak 9 months ago was 2.4 million.
There you go. That's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know what's beating that. I'm gonna look up
single player game right there.
Because what is Counter-Strike? CS:GO. Can I just type in CS:GO? Because I don't know the name of these damn games. There's so many Counter-Strikes. I'm just gonna Counter-Strike. Go to this one. Yeah, this can't be right. I don't know. I'll have to find it because this Counter-Strike I picked says 319,000. That's not correct.
I've seen a really funny post from one of the Bend workers. I forgot what his name was. Dude that has tattoos like all over his neck and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, fuck. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Anyways.
Is it Jeff Ross or something?
Jeff Ross, something? No, it's not. I know it's not that. But I've seen him saying, which we heard in the review when we watched it yesterday or the day before. He was saying people are playing Elden Ring Night Rain right now and becoming friends essentially with like people they like, or he was saying y'all better become friends playing that game. And I thought it was interesting that he said that because when we watched that review about Elden Ring Night Rain, it was saying that it didn't have comms. In-game comms. Yeah. You had to find them within your recent list of people that you played with or look them up by name after you get into the game to do the comms. Really weird missing thing from that game, but your thoughts on it?
That's a crazy thing to be missing from that game. And a game that's about timing and I would assume in a multiplayer setting all about teammate interaction and knowing who's doing what at all times and who's where and who's down and
who's priming what and doing like it's
insane that you wouldn't have wouldn't have any sort of comms on that. Like, I like that's one of those things I didn't even think about because it's what I guess it's just one of those things you would think is a given until they tell you it's not there, and then you're like, wait, what?
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, I heard that and I was like, well, then, dude, imagine playing that on PC. You gotta go to someone's Steam. You gotta send them a message. You gotta tell them, hey, join our Discord, or like, dude, that's so bad. That's not good.
It's a really weird thing to miss in a game like that, where clearly team, like playing as teammates is how you will beat the game.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to beat the game somebody tagging each other in and you just do whatever you do until you tag the other person back. Like, you got to work together. So seeing that there's no comms and you got to figure it out for yourself, that's very unappealing.
That's incredibly tough.
Luckily, I wouldn't probably play that game without at least knowing one other person to be in there with.
Yeah, I'm not going to play that game without being in a party.
You need comms in that game. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that you can play that without comms.
Counter-Strike 2 all-time peak was, and this is CS2. I don't know if this is different than Go or not. CS2 peak last month, 1.8 million. So Wukong beat it.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
That's nuts, dude.
All right, so I think that's enough for Elden Ring Night Rain talk. It's just weird. Especially seeing all the people, hyper focus on saving a game that's dead that they weren't willing to try to save when it was around. And I understand the argument, the player numbers or whatnot, but if there was some interest in the game, it would still be around.
Yes.
But there was no interest in the game. So they took it away. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyways, moving on. We're going to talk about PlayStation. Talk about that Pro a little bit because they got the features of advanced ray tracing, improved draw distance, and more.
Wow.
You can save $20 or not $20, 20% during the Days of Play sale right now for their game. It really seems like PlayStation's leaning into Forza, kind of showing off how good the Pro is.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't blame them at all, but what are your kind of thoughts on seeing one of the most highly touted games for Xbox just kind of dancing over there on PlayStation? Kind of just, doing tricks on it.
I can't really blame PlayStation. That game is like visually, no matter where you play that game, visually it's incredible. You could play that on a Series S, you could play it on my PC with the 4070 Ti. It doesn't matter where you play that game. It looks fucking insane. So the fact that they're clinging to that is like, I know, especially because like the PS5 Pro hasn't had the best first year. That's like patches for it haven't been the greatest. So like to have a game that comes out like that on the console that looks as good as it does and runs as good as it does, because that's another thing. It looks great and it runs amazing. That's a big selling point for the console. And also the fact that like it's in a genre that PlayStation doesn't have nailed down exactly right now. Like their last game that was like that was like Drive Club, and I think they killed the studio. So, it's kind of, listen.
It's crazy because Drive Club was really popular amongst a lot of people.
It was. Dude, Bill, our buddy Bill, loves Drive Club. Loved it and still loves it. So like,
and it looked amazing for the time. It looked really, really nice.
It really did. That was a very impressive game. That was like what, 2015 or 16 or something like that. It was a while ago. So now they got Horizon over there. and it's like Horizon's kind of undisputed the leader in that genre, like open world, kind of arcadey style racing. So I mean, and PlayStation doesn't have one. Maybe they're working on one, but like in the meantime, they don't got one. Why not? Why not show this off as like, hey, look at this awesome game. You can get it on sale on our platform, and it looks amazing on the PS5 Pro. Why not show that off? For Xbox, it's like, you know, I guess the whole thing of like, for a lot of fans, it's like kind of weird seeing, like, even for me, like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not weird seeing that, because it is. But at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. I can still boot that up on my PC or my Xbox Series X, and it's still Forza Horizon 5. Still, it's absolutely amazing. I don't know. I'm cool with it, but it is strange.
Oh, to me, it's 100% strange, because it's just like, man, this game is taking full advantage of what it can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like some of the titles Xbox has made for Xbox takes less advantage on their console than it properly should. And I'm not talking about Forza in particular, but I'm just talking about some of the games that have came out. Like a big one that really kind of like irked me was what's that Ghost game? God damn it.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo. I don't know why I had Ghost of Tsushima just stuck, and I just could not get past it. That and Ghost of the Yote, like those are the only two Ghost names I could think of. But yeah, Ghost. Yeah. God damn it, I forgot the name of it again. What is it?
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire. Thank you. I forgot the name of it again. Yeah, in like 5 seconds. That's how I am with real people's names all the time. Like I'll forget it in the snap of a finger. I'm horrible with names. But yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo is another example of like, dude, you own that.
Mm-hmm.
You own that, and you have, and you had an extra year.
Yeah.
To get it figured out because of the whole exclusivity deal. And it still comes out rough. Now, now I'm not going to sit there and say the Xbox Series X is less by any means, because there's been plenty of times where the Series X has proven stronger than the OG PS5. Sometimes goofy situations where it beats the Pro even.
Shout out
really
to
goofy situations. Really goofy situations. But my whole thought process on that was, well, why did the Pro have to come out for y'all to start making stuff better looking than the PS5 original?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like you kind of squandered away all that time that you could have said our product is better by just not being prepared. Not having things taken care of. Not having the things in the right place that they should be. As you guys know, I am an avid Xbox fan, but I think every fan of anything should probably be the most like be willing to scrutinize your favorite stuff more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not going to go scrutinize the next door neighbor's kid more than I scrutinize my own. Because I don't care about them at the end of the day. I care about my child. I care about how my child's raised and what my child gets into. I don't care about the neighbors. If I see the neighbor kid doing some fuck shit, I'm gonna be like, I don't like that. Or if I see him do something awesome, help an old lady across the street, carry her groceries, whatever. Put the jacket over the puddle, whatever. I'm gonna commend that, and then I'm gonna show my daughter and be like, hey, you need to do shit like that. Right? But at the end of the day, I still like that's still not my child. That's still not my thing. Right? That's still not the thing that I care about. I still have to mold or figure out how I want to steer the thing that I like in the direction that I want it to go. So I mean, I hate it when you get these jelly belly, over loving, zealous, super duper fan of Xbox, nothing can do wrong over there. I'm like, shut the fuck up. But then on the other side, you know, like I don't like the same thing for PC gamers or PlayStation or Nintendo, because I can find a flaw in each and one of y'all.
Yeah.
Care about the thing that you care about, but man, like I'm definitely gonna have to scrutinize Xbox over this a little bit, just because it's just like, man, they got shit running over there fairly quick. You know, in this same amount of time, y'all did not have Ghostwire Tokyo fixed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a real criticism. It's a fair criticism. I don't know. I'm just this generation. It's just been so fucked. Like,
it's been a weird generation, dog.
Yeah, it's been so weird that like I feel like if this stuff happened last generation, like if Xbox did this last generation, even if they had all the studios that they have now, like let's say last generation they got ABK and they got Bethesda and everything. And this all was happening during the Xbox One generation, where they were bringing games over, and you had a PS4 Pro version of Forza Horizon 4. I don't know that it would have been. I don't know. I guess it would have still been as messed up, as weird as it is this generation. Just because I don't know. There's just so much happening for Xbox and PlayStation. And we've got like the whole thing. I don't know if we'll talk about it later, with like Xbox kind of putting the handheld on pause and stuff like that, where like I don't know. Like this generation's just unique, and it's not like in a horrible way either. Because I feel like this generation, I definitely played more games this gen than last gen. I know that for a fact. And we're not even at the end of this generation. But like, just in terms of like what we thought consoles were, as an Xbox fan, me specifically, it's like it's completely flipped everything upside down.
Yeah, this generation has just felt like a purgatory of a sort.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like we're moving forward, but I can still see the same thing on the side of the road that I seen, you know, a few years ago.
Yeah.
I just see it at a little bit different of an angle.
Yeah.
Like there's been progression, and that goes without saying. But there's been but this generation, I feel like, is plagued with a lot of the same.
Yeah, I get that.
And the things that really have shaken up this generation are very untraditional ideals that are weird.
Yeah, very, very untraditional.
Right?
Yes.
What's a normal price game now, which is trying to become $80, which was $70 just not long ago, is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
They are struggling to find worth, or not really worth, but like more value than a cheaper game. This specific generation has made the least amount of sense when it comes to value for or for like gaming versus like, you know, how much you're spending to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think anybody Like if you were to put these two games next to each other, Callisto Protocol and Clair Obscur. If you put those two games next to each other,
it's tough.
Would you think that the game that is a lot less like proudly reviewed happily by people was $20 more? And then we're not done. Wait, there's more. You put Mario Kart next to that and say Callisto Protocol, that realistic looking game, is less than another edition of this kart racer.
Yep.
Not a gold edition or anything, just the regular price of the regular standard ass game.
That's just the new price, bud.
And just think about that for a little bit. Like that's just weird, right? Like Clair Obscur is almost is $50, $30 more is possibly your next Call of Duty. But we know Call of Duty ain't gonna get nowhere near a Gotti. It never does.
No.
It may garner some more players, right? But yeah, I don't know.
Those days are over for Call of Duty. Just because, and this is why I think they never.
Gaming is weird, man. It's weird. All this shit is weird
because of money. But that's why I think one of the reasons I think they could benefit from going at least every other year is to give people even a 2-year gap's not a lot of time, but give some people time to miss it. That's one of the cool things about we haven't played the game yet, obviously, but like the really exciting thing about Gears E-Day is like, dude, you've had time to miss Gears of War.
Yes,
you've had plenty.
And that might be the problem with Doom right now.
That's also fair. You've
had no time to miss that game.
There's just, but with Call of Duty, man, it's like, dude, every year they're just fucking throwing another one out, and it's like, dude, you could make the.
I've never understood why people buy year after year after that, and then I see you on 2K, and I don't get that either. But I see. I'm not even saying I'm like I'm not a person that is not vulnerable to it as well, right? Because I'm looking at that new college football, and I just bought it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I see it, but like I don't like any of this, and it really deters me. After like let's say this year I see something in the new college football game and I'm like, I get it. I'm gonna get it. It makes it hard for me knowing that they're gonna come out with one next year to want to buy it. And sometimes I end up thinking about it so long that the next one's about to come out.
Yeah.
And that has like WWE 2K, I think I bought 2K22 or 23. I don't remember which one it was I bought. But then they came out with the next one, updated rosters and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'm not falling into this trap. I was like, I'm not falling into this trap. I know what it is, and I don't like it. Like year after year games, I really don't like buying them like that. I really don't. And if I do, I want it on a sell.
That's fair.
That's why we didn't play 2K until we ended up sharing sharing the library thing. Because remember, I was like, I'm not paying full price for that again. I told you, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. But anyways, enough of that. So, yeah, PlayStation is killing it with the Pro with this particular game, Forza Horizon 5, with the advanced ray tracing and whatnot. Got to give it its props for what it's doing. But I also had to give Xbox a little bit of shade because I'm just like, man, you've had moments where you could have been better and greater on a game because you are supposed to be the more powerful platform before the Pro came out. And you squandered that away. And now you're better than a lot of the OG PlayStation 5 stuff. But it's like you put yourself in a position to get overshadowed, and then they upgrade while you're trying to overshadow the old thing, and it's too late. You're getting overshadowed again on that part. But anyways, I digress. I'm trying to remember what the next topic was, to be honest. I know what the ending one is, but I was trying to remember what the next one was. Oh yeah, that's it. So, as you have known, and since we're on the top of Xbox right now, as you may have heard that the handheld is not happening for the partner one, right? They're talking about making something of their own, possibly. And they said that the next generation console is still in like the works or whatever.
Well, no, their handheld is on pause.
So wait, so
I got
that backwards.
Yeah, the official Xbox handheld is on pause. They're focusing on third party iterations and nailing down Windows on handhelds.
Oh, so I understood that backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for clearing that up, sir. So yeah, wow. So that makes me look at this completely differently. So I thought that the one that was working with Asus that was supposed to be possibly coming out later this year was on pause, but is that still a go?
Yeah, that's still coming out. I mean, they haven't said anything otherwise. That's seemingly still coming out. In fact, that kind of reinforces it, because what I read is that they're focused entirely on third-party handhelds. Asus would be the first one of that.
I kind of want to see an article on that.
Let me see. Xbox handheld.
I know a while back they were showing pictures like this of like what it was supposed to look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that looks fine. It doesn't look like absolutely dashing or anything, but it looks fine.
Okay, I'm about to send something over. Really? Is this a link, or what are we doing here?
Why don't you just share it on your screen?
1 second.
I can just do that and just switch over the replace for you. Yep. Let me know when you, or actually I'll see it when you put it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Jeez. I don't know why I can't just send the link. That's so stupid. All right. Share screen.
Just accept this AnyDesk request,
Huh.
I promise I am not trying to take your identity.
Share.
I got you.
All right. Yeah.
There it is. Go ahead.
Xbox's first-party handheld has been sidelined for now as Microsoft doubles down on Canon, which is the Asus thing, and Windows 11 PC gaming optimization. And this is from Windows Central. I think also, I wonder if it's in here. Yeah. So it says, I come to you today with some fresh news about Xbox's handheld plans. Previously, I reported that Microsoft was working on a native Xbox handheld alongside an Xbox Series X successor planned to launch around 2027. It now seems that Microsoft's priorities have somewhat shifted. Just to emphasize here, it's not Xbox's Asus device, Canon, that is being pushed back. It's Microsoft's own internal Xbox handheld that has been shelved for now.
Yeah, I had it completely backwards. I totally thought it was they were focusing more on their own stuff. But no, they're digging deeper into third-party stuff, essentially. Did you just remove that screen?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, it's still here.
You have to reshare it.
Really?
Yeah, because it says offline now. Actually, I could probably find it. There it is.
I wonder if it's because I closed. Yeah, I closed out this console, the AvMux thing. That's why. All right, but yeah, here it is. It's still up. Let's see. I've seen a variety of code names for this unseen device, but it's unclear as of writing which exactly is the correct one. At the moment, it seems there are 3 prototypes in development for Microsoft's Gen 10 effort, with the handheld being parked for now. So the big thing from this was their handheld, the official Xbox handheld, is on pause. They're still working on the console, and they're focusing on third-party handhelds and nailing down Windows so that it works better with third-party handhelds. Or just
I think they're going to go the Lenovo route.
What is that?
You know how Lenovo has its like Legion brand or Legion, run of computers specific?
Yeah.
Well, they have the Legion laptop. They have a Legion Go, hand, pretty much a
PC handhelds, yeah.
Pretty much like a Surface, right? And then they got the gaming handhelds, right? I think Microsoft's going to end up doing like Surface. It's going to end up being a type of Surface.
Like Xbox will end up being a type of Surface?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It'll be like a Surface Pro Xbox edition, kind of like a Legion Go is compared to just a Legion computer.
I think this would lean more towards, and I think I'm pretty sure we talked about this on the show before. This sounds like, I know we're talking about the handhelds here, but extrapolating it to actual like a console hardware, this sounds like they want to focus on third-party versions of that. So, like, I think they would have the next-gen Xbox from them, but then also have a next-gen Xbox from Asus, have one from Lenovo, have one from, I don't know, pick another one. It's hard to think of all these companies' names, but like, and have different variants of each one. Like, here's one for 600. Here's one for 1500. It's like the top of the line, best shit you can buy, and stuff in between. Like, that's what, that would make sense given how they're approaching the handheld thing. I'm just extrapolating what they're doing with handhelds right now to what they might do with the console. And that seems to make sense.
I just think they're trying to make less things separated and more things categorized as something particular, instead of being like, you can play this or on that, to be like, just play it on this run of product. But man, that is kind of, it's just another step further from them ever really making their own stuff.
I think eventually, yeah.
But we've recently known about Xbox more than, just Microsoft, even though they're the same company. But like Xbox's particular piece within Microsoft, we've known more than ever recently that they're really just trying to push Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of this stuff all comes back to Windows every single time.
Well, think about the fact, like the other news from not really this week, but last week, SteamOS is now available to just download. You need certain things, like you need a AMD GPU at the moment to download it, but you like all the handhelds have AMD GPUs. So any handheld you can download SteamOS on. And I'll tell you what I've been seeing a lot of on my YouTube is people saying I switched from Windows to SteamOS on my handheld and it's amazing. It's like Microsoft doesn't like that. They don't like seeing that shit. So,
absolutely not.
So like to them, it's like, okay, we've got these customers who like the console. Great. That's cool. It's not growing, but we still have these customers. How can we please these customers, but also take care of something that really needs to be taken care of, which is what Valve's doing with SteamOS right now. We can't have them even have the illusion that they're going to overtake us. We can't allow that to happen. So they're right now, it seems like they're, like you said, they're all in on Windows. That's the way to do it, is be like, how can we make Windows work so perfectly with not just handhelds, but your general desktop PC? We have already heard the rumors of the next gen Xbox being a Windows based machine, even though it technically already is. It's just a weird version of Windows, but like a full Windows based machine. And then also you hear about the their what do you call it, forwards or backwards compatibility program that Jason Ronald was talking about not too long ago, where like people were speculating that, you know, emulation might be the way forward. And if emulation is the way forward, where do you emulate things on a PC? What's on a PC for Microsoft? Windows. So like I think to your point, it all kind of does come back to Windows, especially now that Valve is people are taking Valve very seriously when it comes to SteamOS. Microsoft, like I said, they don't want that.
They are getting all of the smoke right now.
Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting to me that the week after, and it could just be coincidence. It's just interesting to me that the week after SteamOS or Valve's like, hey, SteamOS for everyone, Microsoft's like, okay, fuck our handheld. We need to get Windows working properly.
Right.
Like it's just, it could be a coincidence, could not be, but it's just,
it sounds like a bigger play.
Yes. So it makes me, I feel so stupid for saying it. Like every time we talk about this stuff, but it's like, dude, it's so fucking interesting. Cause part of me thinks like, yo, Microsoft, things like that, things like what I just said, like the week after this happened, they did this. Things like that make me think, oh, they're just doing this shit on the fly. They're figuring this out like as they're going. They don't know exactly what it's going to be. They're just letting it go. And whatever happens, they're altering to it and they're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Almost. Shout out to Vinny, by the way. I see you in the chat. Almost as if they're using AI to direct them.
Yeah.
It's like Satya wakes up and comes to work and he asks AI what he should do.
Yeah.
What do you think would be what do you think the over and under is on this idea right here?
Can we do this? Is this possible?
Have we programmed you good enough to do this yet? No? Oh shit.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, right. Oh man. So I mean, that's interesting. I'm happy that you helped me understand what the hell was going on here, because I thought it was the other way around. And I was just like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
And in seeing that it's this way, I'm still saying, why would they do that? But like it's still the same answer, but it kind of makes sense, especially when you say the SteamOS thing that happened, for, Windows devices and stuff like that. And then as well as their whole strategy just to kind of make everything kind of just one thing. Instead of, because, and I'm not sure if I like this saying this or whatnot, but like, this is them figuring out how to use other people to do the shit that they don't want to do while still putting their stamp on it front and center. It's like, I used to make shoes. Now bro downstairs makes the same shoe I made. I just come downstairs and put a stamp on.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of exactly that. I also think it's probably a question of, hey, how much money and time do we want to allocate to making this specific hardware, this handheld device that, let's be real, as much as a handheld device, like, you love them, I love them, probably a bunch of people in the chat love them, those are niche devices. So that they're probably like, okay, how much money are we gonna have to spend to make this thing, get it manufactured, get it in people's hands, and make enough so that there's not a shortage of them,
and then also combat these other niche devices like GPD for the win, Neo, Steam Deck, ROG Ally, the MSI Claw, and I'm sure there are a dozen more that I didn't even mention.
Oh yeah, dude, there's so many of these handhelds that, like, there's handhelds, like, I'll see one on YouTube. I never heard of this shit before in my life, but there's tons of them where, like, I think to them it's like, okay, maybe instead of spending all the money to do all of that, how about we just, hey, Asus, you can make a handheld, right? You've done it before. Make a handheld. We'll put our brand on it, and while you're doing that, we'll focus on making the software that's going to be on it the best that it can possibly be. I mean, like, that's my theory on this, and maybe that's a really dumbed down theory, but it's like, for Xbox, it's, like, again, we love Xbox here on the show, but it's like, it's out of the three, out of Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, the Xbox is the niche thing. So, like, let alone when the niche Xbox releases a niche handheld, it's like, it's compounded even more so. So it's like, it's probably to them like, is it worth it diving in head first like that, or should we just go ahead and test these waters real quick and really nail down our software? And I think that's kind of what they're doing, and
then possibly come back to something if something like that explodes, and you could see yourself kind of being, hey, you can just get this thing here. That is something that we're gonna have to kind of keep our eye on as time elapses, right? Is just seeing how this idea pans out, because they're in a weird situation, right? And they started in a weird situation. They started out with the OS of, Windows being available before the Xbox games were available to even Steam and stuff like that. The purchase, they already had handhelds and stuff like this that ran Windows. But now that they want their stuff to be everywhere, now they have to figure out, all right, well, how do we properly work with these other things? Because we just kind of let them do whatever they wanted on their own, and bloat or not, deal with it, right? But now everybody wants a seamless. Now we see how lucrative a seamless experience can be, because Steam Deck kind of did that. They gave you the option of a desktop mode, but they made that secondary.
Yeah.
As to where Windows makes that primary. You install and you essentially open up an application, then that becomes something that shows up on you, compared to Steam, where it's like, no, we're application first.
Yeah.
Desktop second.
Dude, as someone who has a Steam Deck and an ROG Ally, I find myself using my Steam Deck probably more, even though the ROG Ally on paper is a better machine. I'll use my ROG whenever I have, like, I downloaded Clair Obscur on my ROG Ally. I downloaded Atomfall from Game Pass. Like, when I download a game from Game Pass and I want to play that, I'll use my ROG Ally. Otherwise, I use my Steam Deck just because it is truthfully more convenient.
I like what Sapo says right here in the chat. He says, but my question, and then kind of makes a statement and says they should have already figured this out. And I 100% agree with that. And for you to have as big of a company as you are, and as bendable of an OS as you have for so many different companies, it seems a little ridiculous that you don't have this already figured out. But then again, and I'm not really trying to give this as an excuse per se, but most people that use Windows, or most things that use Windows, are like businesses and stuff like that. So they're making sure the experiences for businesses and stuff like that are fine, right? A little bloats on there. If it's fine, it's fine. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then now, you have something like, Steam that's been around for a while. It's very popular with like Linux and stuff like that. They had like their whole idea was video games. It wasn't video games and business and all this other stuff. So they had a one direction mind, and you can say the very same thing about PlayStation when it comes to their consoles and stuff like that. Very one direction. Yes. They knew exactly what they were in the space to do, why they're there. Deals or not, whether they have good deals or they're always customer friendly or yada yada yada. That's beyond the point. I'm just strictly talking about why they're in the space, and it's specifically for gaming. Steam specifically for gaming. PlayStation specifically for gaming. Nintendo specifically for gaming. Microsoft is like an Amazon, where it's like, we do that, but we do a lot of other stuff too. So by the time something becomes popular, they're always kind of catching up instead of leading the way. They're leading the way in something that's far more important to them, which is like these businesses and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
But they have this but they have this giant that started out real tiny that they didn't realize was growing so fast, and that's in the entertainment business, video games. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to, get back to that. And I've liked the platform for some time for the innovation that they've done within the console space. I mean, hell, they brought communication online to be more mainstream. Mm-hmm. They got the subscription services, some of the stuff that they did with their previous consoles. I did like having 2 HDMI cords in the back of my console. I did like having memory on my Xbox when I bought it, the OG Xbox. Shout out to that. There were many reasons why I became on this platform, but one thing that the Xbox has always kind of struggled with is kind of keeping up with the actual mission that is being a video game creator. They've been good at innovating and doing stuff that's technologically advanced. But as for the gaming space, they've kind of set themselves up to be an afterthought.
Yeah. It's funny because Xbox, like Xbox started, like you hear, like how many years ago they released that documentary about it was 2021, I believe, like the 20th anniversary of Xbox. They released
Yeah.
the documentary,
Yeah, it was
like
right around Halo time, right?
yeah, like how Xbox came to be a thing, and like it was all these developers, like, and engineers going to Bill Gates and higher ups at the company and being like, "Hey, look at what PlayStation's doing. If you don't have something to compete, they're just going to own the living room." And like you heard the story, like Bill Gates was like, "I don't know about that. I don't care really." And then eventually, after hammering it home, Bill Gates was like, "Okay, all right, we have to do this." And then it was all about gaming. The original,
Well, you see how Bill started it. Exactly how I said. He didn't take action until the threat was already there.
yes,
The threat is already there, and then you're taking action. You may be big, strong, have all the money, and be able to withstand like the fight per se, right? Like I can. I still think that PlayStation isn't done trying to beat up on Xbox, right? They don't.
no, they're not.
The console war thing might be over, but they're still trying to say, hey, there's a reason that they advertise and do stuff still, and that they still and that they're changing the way that they look at things. It's to make sure that they get money, and that they because they know at any point shit can go south. It's happened to each one of these companies. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. One generation is all it took for something to go south really fast.
And that's kind of what I mean. Like, they initially had that focus after getting the higher ups at Microsoft on board. They initially had that focus of like, okay, it's literally all about the games. And you know, you rode that through the original Xbox. There was some great games on the original Xbox. You rode it through the 360. There was some great shit on the 360. And then you get to the Xbox One, and like they're kind of just, kind of high and mighty after the Xbox 360. Like, hey, we did it. Like, we're good. And they get to the Xbox One, and then it's like, let's kind of ease up on the games a little bit. Let's talk about entertainment. Let's talk about TV shows. Like, weren't they like up on stage talking about like, hey, we're opening like a movie studio or some shit? Like, dude.
Well, they opened up that like recently. They had like the like Sony Choice or whatever it is of like TV shows and movies that you can watch for free and you can pay. Like, as long as you have a PlayStation Plus subscription, you can just like watch them, and you can pay to watch certain like, newer movies or bigger titles and stuff like that. But I mean, these companies follow each other.
That's like, but it's my point is like they during the Xbox One, the beginning of the Xbox One, and probably a decent bit of the way into the Xbox One, they kind of lost the plot. And we talked about a lot, and Phil Spencer said it himself. Like, that was like the most crucial time. That was like, if ever there was a time where you couldn't do that, it was that time, and they did it. So, like, you lost the plot, and then you kind of tried to come back around. Like, they got all the studios, they got Bethesda, it was ZeniMax, all of ZeniMax. They got ABK. You own the biggest FPS game probably in history. Like, and it's like, okay, now you're back to like the games, and like we've talked about it before, dude. The amount of games they're releasing this year, last year, next year, for however long, is just insane. But I feel like, again, it goes back to what we were saying about the generation being so fucking weird. Like, there's so many things that I have questions about. Like, if they bought ABK, would any of this be happening? Or was this just on the cards already just because like, it is what it is? We don't really know. But it's just at certain points throughout their life they've kind of lost the plot a little bit. And then they have to come back to it. And then the coming back to it is like the really seemingly the most difficult time. Like the beginning of Xbox One was really difficult. And then this generation has been, I would think they would say it's been pretty difficult. So hey, it is what it is, but it's Microsoft is always like, I love Xbox, but man, Microsoft can just, they know how to mess something. They know how to mess things up. They can fix them sometimes. They can fix it sometimes, but man, do they ever know how to mess things up.
So that brings us to the last topic that we're going to do today, which is which is a continuation of PlayStation and Xbox talk, kind of. Because if you've seen recently, which let me get this over to the other screen so people can see what I'm talking about. And you've probably seen this because this has kind of been around for a few days, or it's been getting talked about for a few days. But it says former head of PlayStation says Microsoft Xbox Game Pass is dangerous because big companies dictate what games can be created, and he could not be more wrong. So essentially, let me read this. This short little cut right here, right under it. It says Shuhei Yoshida, which shout out to Shu. I actually got the picture with him when I was at the Game Awards this last year. Shu's pretty nice dude. I mean, you can kind of see it if you follow him that he seems pretty chill.
Oh, he seems great.
And he is just like that in person. In fact, it was more awkward getting a picture with Aaron than it was with Shu. Shu was down with it. Aaron was just kind of like, who are you? Which I was just like, okay, whatever. But anyways, Shuhei Yoshida of Sony Interactive Entertainment, SIE, says that subscription gaming won't advance the industry, but there's a significant flaw in his reason. So it's a mixture of what Michael and what Shu said, actually. Shu essentially says that subscription service won't advance the industry. It's not great for creators and whatnot, which he could have a point. But let me go on ahead and read a little bit into the article to see what he says. Real quick, though, before I get into it, Matt, what is your thoughts on the subject so far?
So what was the exact words in the headline there?
Let me go back up to it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Former head of PlayStation says Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass is dangerous because big companies dictate what games can be created, and he could not be more wrong. I agree with the last part. He could not be more wrong. Listen, I don't think any of us on the panel played it. Definitely wasn't my kind of game, but I'll bring it up regardless. Think of Pentiment. Does Pentiment get made without Xbox Game Pass? Because I don't
probably not.
I don't know. Like I don't see much of a way. Like, what about Grounded? What about Grounded success? Like survival games are kind of but like very small studio, not a small studio, but a very small team within a bigger studio that made that, and it gets the success it has, so much so to the point that it's getting its own TV show on Netflix. Like, that's like those are like bona fide examples of a game happening because of Game Pass. Like I can, like, here's the thing, I can see what he's getting at, and that, if a company is able to dictate what you can and cannot make, I don't think that's ever good. I don't think anyone would ever disagree with that. But at the same time, it's like, you got to be realistic and also realize that there's examples of this being a good thing for studios. Like, what do we hear every time a game pops off in Game Pass? Every time it releases, like Clair Obscure's, oh, we couldn't be more thrilled to be in Game Pass. Adamfall, we couldn't be more thrilled. Dude, they keep bringing games back. Rebellion does. Every game that releases from Rebellion, they're like, we put it in Game Pass all the time. Like, there's so many examples. Like, if this was a bad thing, if it was harming creativity at studios, dude, developers would be jumping off the ship so quick. It would not be a thing that, like, you wouldn't be getting day one games in there. You wouldn't even be getting games like Metaphor coming months later. You like developers wouldn't want to be associated with it.
It's a fact.
If that's what was actually happening. So I get what he's saying. I understand the sentiment, but it just seems like there's so many examples of that not being the case.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of think about is, like, I can see what he means if he's talking about games like launching day one on there all the time. Like, it might not be good for every game, right? But like for something like Metaphor that came out when it came out and it made the sales that it was gonna pretty much make, like, you know, the first 3 months, first 3 to 6 months is when you make the most sales off of a game. Unless some rare thing happens where everybody wants to get the game all of a sudden again because something was cool and found in the game. You know how rare
Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
sure. So like, unless something like that happens, like when something comes at a later date to Game Pass and it's not owned by Microsoft, it's like, oh, that makes sense. They just want more people to play. And they're going to get money if more people download this and continue to play due to MAUs and whatnot. So pretty simple. One thing I wanted to point out real quick. See, Wolf, I'm going to need you to stop it with this you rent, I own thing. I need you because it doesn't,
like, I've never bought
sense.
a game.
No. It just doesn't make sense. Like, the you rent, I own thing doesn't make sense. If we all had PlayStations and you were yelling at us for being on PlayStation, I think that would make more sense than you yelling at people that are on Xbox that have a subscription service that they use. Because everything on Game Pass you can buy.
Yeah.
So renting or owning is an option. Option. That is not the same case for PlayStation Plus Premium. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. You can't really dispute that.
That is a fact. The whole PS3 library, you can't buy one of those games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at my library here. I literally just bought Tainted Grail, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I bought Oblivion twice over, by the way. Bought that twice. Steam and Xbox. I mean, like, I'm definitely buying things.
The whole you buy, I own, or you rent, I own. Everybody buys. Anybody that has a console is buying something. Whether they are buying a lot or a little is up to them. Yeah. But if you choose to use something else as a rental service or something, that's just another thing that has nothing to do with whether you buy stuff or not.
What your comment should say is you don't have to buy, I have to buy.
That's what it should say.
That's what your comment should say. And that's as simple as it needs to be. Like, it's you on PlayStation, if you want to buy or if you want to play the newest PlayStation game from PlayStation, you have to buy it. You don't have a choice. If you're on Xbox and you want to play when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, you have a choice. Do you want to buy it or do you want to play it in the subscription service? Some people will opt for the subscription. Some people, because it's what it is, will say, fuck it, I'll just buy it. And that's totally fine.
and I see what Seawolf is trying to say. He's trying to say more people buy on PlayStation than on Xbox, but
Of course.
Well, I mean, there's more consoles of PlayStations out than there are Xbox, so that's a duh.
Of course.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and think that anybody that plays Xbox in this chat or that's on this panel right now doesn't buy games because they have a subscription service. That is goofy.
You know that whole thing that Xbox likes to say of like, we've actually found that people are buying more games in their in our subscription service. Here's the thing: I can only speak for myself. That is factually accurate for myself. I know for a fact I bought more games this generation than I bought last generation. I know that for a fact.
We can't speak for everybody else, though.
But like, that's true. But it's like, dude, I can only go on what my experience has been. I've not stopped buying games because I'm subscribed to Game Pass. If anything, I'm buying more games. Just being honest. Whether that's on Steam, whether that's on PlayStation, whether that's on Xbox, whether that's on fucking Nintendo, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm buying more things. I mean, is what it is.
Fuzzy Tomato says right here, he says, such a weird narrative. Game Pass isn't even that cheap. Microsoft is making an insane amount of money with Game Pass. I mean, they're making an insane amount of money with Game Pass for sure. Are they cannibalizing some of their sales? Absolutely. 100%. They have admitted that. You know, like, I'm not sure if the people at Claire Obscure are like, shucks. like I don't think anybody over there are like, damn it, I put that there. I don't think Capcom, when they put their game day one in Game Pass, they were like, son of a bitch. Like, I don't think so. Because whether the game is good or not is just that. If it's good, it'll get purchased a lot. If it's not, it won't. And and Xbox set themselves up with a strategy, whether you like it or not, that they're gonna make their money, whether it's on theirs or on yours.
Dude. Okay.
So, like, I don't know, to be worried about the sales of Xbox in particular is kind of interesting at this point, because they're just selling software. They don't care where it's sold at.
Pretty much. Especially now, dude.
Like it or not, they're selling it.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, let's go to Stalker 2. Like, I don't know. I just looked it up out of curiosity. I can't find any updated numbers. But like a lot of what I'm seeing, it's like Stalker 2 hits 1.4 million copies sold in its first, 4 days? 1 million copies sold in the first 48 hours. Like, do you think do you think the devs at GSC Game were like, God damn it, damn Game Pass? Like, they sold, like, by now they've probably sold millions of copies of the game at this point. But like, I mean, I just don't know. The thing I always come back to with this whole conversation is I don't know why the option existing is bad. I mean, Phil Spencer, what was it, like last month and maybe a month before that, Phil Spencer did an interview where he literally told you, yo, if you're somebody who only plays like 1 or 2 games a year, probably don't subscribe to Game Pass.
You said that earlier this year.
Yeah, it's like he's literally telling you the use case for it and who might want it and who probably doesn't need it. It's not like some shady tactic of like, hey, even if you only play 1 or 2 games, definitely subscribe to our service. Because it'd be easy for him to say that, because that's the business thing to say. Is like, yeah, we don't give a fuck how much you play. Get in our service. But at every point throughout this whole thing, they've been honest. Is this for you? Maybe, maybe not. Give it a try and find out. That's all it is. Just an option.
Yeah, and to this point right here, Vesper right here says Game Pass is $20 a month. That's like 3 or 4 AAA games a year. I don't know if I buy that many full price games a year. Doesn't seem cost effective unless you play a lot of smaller games. And I think a lot of people think that the Game Pass only has smaller games, but I played a lot of larger size games on there. And I mean, like, I've already saved myself a couple $100 this year.
I'm thinking about like Doom. I haven't bought Doom yet. I'll buy that on sale. But Doom,
like if I would have bought Adamfall, I would have been pissed.
Oh yeah,
I would have been pissed if I would have bought that game.
Yeah, man. Like, it's just like, I mean, from the beginning of the year to now, we've saved money. Like, let alone the beginning of the year to the close of this year, to December 31st of this year. Think about how much money.
For me was pretty nice. I didn't buy that. Far Cry was pretty nice. Didn't buy that. Doom 2016 didn't buy that. Doom Eternal didn't buy that. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black didn't buy that. Sniper Elite Resistance, I would have hated that if I bought it, but I didn't.
I'd have crashed out probably.
Yeah. Eternal Strands didn't buy that.
I forgot about it. I think I still have Eternal Strands downloaded. Oh my god. Yeah, I gotta get on top of this stuff.
I mean, I could keep going if I go onto my Xbox and like look at what I've actually been playing, because I'm just looking at a list of games right now. But like,
throw that in there.
Yeah, there's a ton of games that I wouldn't have bought that I got to play and that I finished. So it might not have been worth it to you, but that's kind of what he said. It might not be worth it for you, but it is for me, and I'm happy that it's here. And I'm a person that's going to take advantage of a sale until they stop doing sales. And until they make it to where it's like, all right, this is way too much for what I'm getting, or I don't see any roadmap and I'm paying $20 a month. Screw this. I'm gonna probably keep going. I don't see why not. It's working for me. But anyways, let me get back to the article, because I wanted to tie this up real quick. We got about 15 more minutes that we're gonna kick it here and before we get up out. But I want to hit this article first, actually, just because this says more about what he says instead of combating it. The Windows Central article is kind of combating what he said, but I want to hear what he actually said and maybe somebody else's, because Windows Central is very pro Xbox, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna say pro Xbox type stuff. So I want to keep it kind of even killed to start off the conversation. So here it says Shuhei Yoshida warns subscription services could become dangerous for developers if big companies dictate what games can be created. I don't think that will advance the industry. I'm sorry if you see me kind of moving back and forth. It's because my microphone's kind of in the way of my monitor for me being able to read it super easily. But it says a former PlayStation boss and indie advocate Shuhei Yoshida believes the rise and potential dominance of subscription services like Xbox Game Pass could become dangerous for developers eager to push the envelope. Speaking to game developers at Gamescom, Latham, the industry veteran explained subscription services are great if you are allowed inside the walled garden. The concern he suggested is that they inevitably expand on a bedrock of first-party titles. It will become harder for third-party studios and indies to cross that divide. If the only way for people to play games is through a subscription service, that's really dangerous, because what type of games can be created will be dictated by the owner of the subscription service, he says. I don't know if I agree with that. If you bring a dope project to somebody and say, yo, I want to put this on your service, I don't know.
Thing is, though, in his scenario where a subscription service is the only way to play a game, I kind of do agree with him. But we're not in that. That's not what's happening. So, like, it's just a hypothetical. I mean, it comes up all the time with this. It's like we're doing hypotheticals. Yeah, it's not bad now, but just wait until this happens. It's like it hasn't happened yet, and there's no indication that it will happen. Why are we worked up about this thing that may or may not happen and likely won't happen? What I just don't get the point.
What's cracking, Poison Maniac? And Quada Global Limited says Yoshida board is bored again, I think is what he's trying to say. That's kind of funny. Anyways, let me continue the article. It says, so this is a quote from him. He says, that's really, really risky because there always must be fresh new ideas tried by small developers that create the next wave of development. But if the big company dictates what games can be created, I don't think that will advance the industry. It says Yoshida believes Sony delivered a healthier subscription model. Discussing Xbox Game Pass and how Microsoft has involved the platform by adding more first-party titles while also regaining on its initial pledge to bring every single Xbox game studio project to the service day one. Yoshida said the company might have bitten off more than they could chew, which I kind of think that's a fair assessment. While acknowledging his own bias as a former PlayStation exec, Yoshida suggests Sony take on the subscription service model through PlayStation Plus, which has seen the company make major first-party titles available to subscribers, but only after a traditional premium release was perhaps healthier. I believe, says Yoshida, the way Sony approached subscription services is healthier. Not to over promise and to allow people to spend money to buy the new games. He added, after a couple of years, there won't be many people willing to buy those games at the initial price, so they will be added to the subscription service, and there'll be more people to try it. Those products in time for the game for the next game in the franchise to come out. Although he feels Microsoft may have made an initial misstep with that day one pledge, Yoshida said the company has excelled in other areas. He described Microsoft's approach to backwards compatibility, which saw the company make it possible for Xbox Series S and X owners to play thousands of original Xbox 360, and Xbox One's titles as smart and very well planned. They must have put a lot of engineering effort into achieve what they have done. He continued, Microsoft wasn't the only company to receive plaudits. Is that right? Plaudits?
Plaudits. How's it spelled?
Right there.
Plaudits. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I've never seen that word. And it says Microsoft wasn't the only company to receive plaudits during our chat. Yoshida also took praise to Nintendo for slapping two controllers on the Switch and Switch 2 to enable multiplayer functionality straight out of the box. That's so smart, he said, and it's in their DNA to cater to the needs of family and friends. Okay, so that's what this article had to say. Kind of curious what the other article said, and then we're probably going to work our way up out of here because we got about a little less than 10 minutes left that I wanted to spend. But before I do that, we got a $2 super chat from Day Reezy saying Game Pass is dangerous. I laugh in the face of danger. Love it. Love it. Let it be dangerous. and plus, keep in mind, this is Microsoft's pocket. It's dangerous. It ain't dangerous for my pocket. It's good for my pocket. I've been happy using it as Phil and many others said, might not be the best for you, but it is working pretty good for me. I mean, just like I said, this last couple of weeks, I've just been jumping around playing different games, waiting on the specific game that I'm looking for. That's definitely helped in the meantime of just looking for stuff to play. It says, but we were reading this conversation here from Windows Central by Michael Hogland. He says, in the interview with game developer, the former head of PlayStation, Shuya Yoshida, had plenty to say about the climate of gaming. Subscriptions pointed readily at Game Pass. He took aim at the potential wall a gaming subscription can create for third-party creators. And then I read this quote already about... oh, wait, maybe I didn't read this one. It says, if the only way... Oh, yeah. If the only way people can play is through subscriptions, right? I read that. Yeah, so I read that part as well. What I'm kind of looking for is their kind of contradiction to what he said. So it says, while it's entirely valid to have concerns about anything in the industry currently plagued by layoffs and cancellations from Sony, Microsoft, and lately EA, the argument for these services has been repeatedly showcased, especially when it comes to ideas tried by small developers. Off the top of my head, because I'm too lazy to bring up lists, there are, and he released games, Lies of P, Clair Obscure, Expedition 33, Atom Fall, Atomic Heart, Blueprints, Tunic, upcoming games, The Altars, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, Moonlighters, and The Endless Vault. I'm sorry, just a second.
You're fine. I'll keep it going though. The upcoming games: The Altars, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, Dead Static Drive, Lost in Random, The Eternal Die. I don't think I've heard of Lost in Random, The Eternal Die. But so these aren't your standard games in the industry. If anything, they're either entirely new ideas or callbacks to old, forgotten classics. These are anything but normal games. Side note, all these games are available to purchase, debunking the very notion that subscriptions are the only way to play.
I think my wife burned a pizza. I was like, what the hell is happening? I was like, who's cooking? I walked out there and my wife was sitting there with like one of the things waving it above. I was like, God damn it, what is happening right now? I was ready to panic.
Damn.
Grab the PS5, grab the Series X, get out. But anyways, so I was reading off the names: The Altars, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, Moonlight 2, The Endless Vault, Dead Static Drive, Lost in Random, The Eternal Die. I don't know what the name of some of these games are. They're just so confusing. But it says these aren't your standard. God damn it!
She put another pizza in. She's letting it rip. And that pizza is cooking, bro. That is unfortunate scenario there. But I'm gonna just give my thoughts on it while we're waiting for Ham to get. Oh, well, Ham's already back. Never mind.
I think that was a shockwave. Damn, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, I was just reading the article. It says these aren't your standard games in the industry. If anything, they're either entirely new ideas or callbacks to old, forgotten classics. These are anything but normal games. Side note, all these games are available for purchase, debunking the very notion that subscription services are the only way to play. Subscriptions are simply an option giving gamers the freedom to choose how and where they want to experience their games. For instance, Clair Obscure Expedition 33 continues to sell millions of copies, while Doom attracts millions of players but sees fewer direct sales.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
All right, so the article goes on saying, oh wait, no, I think that might be the end of the article. This might be a new
Oh,
No. I think this is the same. It's just a different point. It says even within Microsoft's first-party studios and publishing, they greenlight they greenlight projects that most publishers could never, such as you were saying earlier, Matt, Grounded, Pentiment, South of Midnight, and more, giving new life to tried and true franchises while allowing them to explore unique gameplay aspects like Doom: The Dark Ages and its melee focus to make such a statement with so many counter arguments available seemingly silly. Microsoft has continued to celebrate other games from smaller creators by bringing them into the Game Pass fold. Games that before were already standing on their own. These include, but are not limited to, Balatro, Buckshot Roulette, Vampire Survivors, Valheim, Brotato, and more. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This article is destroying Yoshida's thought process.
Yeah.
I think Yoshida's a dope dude, but he ain't lying. Vampire Survivors, when Microsoft talked about that and put that on the Game Pass, I'm pretty sure that game was already out.
Maybe like an early access thing on Steam.
That's what I'm thinking, or something.
It could have been. It could have been. I'm not entirely sure about that, honestly. But
I know once Microsoft got it into Game Pass, it was a phenomenon.
Yeah, it was like the most massive thing at the time.
A ton of people that played it off of Game Pass said, yeah, I'm buying this. And they bought it.
Dude, I bought Vampire Survivors. In fact, I need to buy it on PlayStation because that's the only place I don't have it, I think. But I bought that game so many times over at this point. And it's so easy to do because it's like, what, $5? I mean, I got no problem with that.
And then, and if you buy it with Game Pass, you get it for cheaper.
Yeah, you get a deal on it. It's like $3. It's like $3.40 something.
But yeah, I mean, and Balatro was already selling.
Yep, Balatro was up for Game of the Year.
It's up for Game of the Year. So I mean, I don't understand why there's so much vitriol for something that's an option. You totally don't even have to do it. You can just buy it. But there's no vitriol for PS3 games. There's no vitriol for GameCube games at all.
Which is so stupid.
Because you have to have a subscription service to play GameCube games. And you have to buy a controller.
You gotta buy a controller for that?
Well, you don't have to, but if you want to play it like GameCube, you gotta buy a separate controller. Yeah. But think about it. You're buying a controller for a subscription service.
No, not me. That's stupid
tough
to me. Like, I here's the thing. I'm gonna be real. I understand people not loving subscriptions. I get it. I totally get that. But also, I think we need to be fair and we need to be consistent. If we're going to be giving shit to subscription services for dumb things that they do, we got to be giving a lot of shit to PlayStation and Nintendo. A lot of that has to be going to them. Because as Ham said and reiterated multiple times, they're the only ones who are saying, hey, here's these games. You want to play them? Get in our subscription service. If you're not in our subscription service, then fuck you. You're not playing. It's that simple. Like, they're the only ones doing that. I mean, technically, here's your workaround. You could buy a PS3 or a GameCube. There's your workaround. There you go. Figure it out. But that's not what's happening with Game Pass. So I don't know. I don't know why they're getting the shit that they're getting, other than the fact that it's Xbox. But besides that, I don't know why they're getting the shit that they're getting for it.
Yeah, if Xbox deserves to get shit for anything, I don't think Game Pass is one of them.
No, not at all.
I mean, I've given them shit on all sorts of different things, but Game Pass is kind of the one thing that I've kind of been like, you guys have done this better than anybody else. Clearly. Like, it's not even close. Mm-hmm. But the article continues to say, sure, one could argue that their popularity is what brought them to the service, but for every one of these titles on Game Pass, there is at least one that launched into the service and failed, or another that was saved by the service, such as Guardians of the Galaxy. Yo, Guardians of the Galaxy. That marketing promo was worse than the Game Pass marketing promo for it.
The marketing for Guardians of the Galaxy was so just confusing. It made everyone dislike the game before it even came out. And then it came out and I was like, oh, wait, it's good?
Just remember, not that long ago, or just like a couple days ago, people were saying, oh, man, Xbox marketing Clary Obscure wasn't a big deal. They could have did that without all that Tell that to the people at Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
That marketing just doesn't matter. People will just figure it out. It didn't work very well, and that game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was one of your favorite superhero games of the generation.
That's the best. That is the best. Besides Arkham Asylum, that is the best superhero.
Well, it's old.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm saying this generation.
But I'm saying, like, in general, in totality, besides Arkham Asylum, that's the best fucking superhero game I've ever played. And I don't give a shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I actually played the game before I watched the movie.
I still haven't seen the movie. Let me be real quick.
Says Microsoft has not been afraid to add these types of games to the service, giving them at least some form of a chance to succeed within Game Pass. Don't believe me? Listen to the actual developers. You have multiple developers who have praised Game Pass and its ability to reach a wide range of players. Rebellion CEO Jason Kingsley said Microsoft has been a fantastic partner to work with. They've really leaned into helping us. They've brought their skills and their scale to bear our small project, and it's done really, really well for them. So they got a good deal. We got a good deal out of it as well. I mean, the list of developers praising the service and who continue to use it has expanded significantly over the last few years, with notable names like John Romero, the director of Liza P, and even Sega, which continues to release its games day one on the Game Pass. As I said earlier, I understand the concerns, but until we see actual or continued evidence that this type of service is creating a walled garden, it comes across as nothing but crying wolf. In a world where games like Divisive Scheduled One, Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, Repo, or Bodycam continue to hit audiences left and right with outside the box ideas or indie development, I have to laugh. But I disagree, for I am but a freelance journalist who can only quote so many success stories before being told he's wrong anyway. Sounds like Seawolf is talking to this man. He's like, doesn't matter what you say, he's still wrong. Sony's version is healthier, says former Sony guy.
Yeah.
That's what the thing read. That's kind of funny. And it shows Obama giving Obama. Okay.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this guy, this Windows Central dude, this clown. He said, I'm sorry, Yoshida, but your way of thinking is inadequate. He went on to praise Sony's method because why wouldn't he? I believe the Sony approach to subscriptions is much healthier, which I read that earlier. I'm just going to skip on to the next paragraph. He says, it might be healthier for Sony's ecosystem, but it's hard to argue the value of its service over that of Game Pass. While Sony charges $18 a month compared to Microsoft's Game Pass Ultimate being $20 a month, I'd much rather pay pay extra $2 to see first-party titles in the service. Facts. Simple. I don't know why people are making that sound difficult or hard or like a bad deal. Weird. But to make matters worse, Sony regularly removes first-party titles from PlayStation Plus Premium or from PlayStation Premium. Like recently deleted Resistance Fall of Man. Like, why? What? Fall of Man and Resistance 2 and Infamous Second Son. All of these are much older games that haven't had a new series entry in years, countering Yoshida's claim entirely. As a PlayStation Premium member myself, it's disheartening not knowing which older first-party titles are available, as I see them being continuously removed. As a result, the value of the service deteriorates for me.
So that's interesting because I think that perfect because Resistance. I love Resistance. I mean, Resistance along with Killzone is probably like top 2, maybe top 3 thing PlayStation's ever done for me personally. They just took the games away. And unlike Game Pass, when games get taken away, i.e. Forza, whenever Forza gets delisted, usually Xbox, whenever that happens, they're like, hey, here it is, really cheap. If you want it before it gets delisted, buy it. If not, then you miss out. This is like, you can't buy it because you can't own it. It's not available to own on our platform. The only way you can own those games is, again, go out and buy a PS3. That's it. So like, yeah, it's total opposite ends of the spectrum. Yet one of them, and not the correct one, is getting scrutinized vehemently online. I don't know.
You see the last few comments from Seawolf? He's going through it.
Oh, what's he saying?
He is going through it. He says, I don't need no subscription service to tell me what I want to play.
I've never
Spending
had Xbox.
money on enjoyment makes no sense. Buying games makes no sense. This man is...
What's he talking about? Who's
I
telling
don't
him
know.
that?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I've never had Xbox Game Pass tell me what I want to play. That's never happened. I don't know if that's a new feature or something, but that's never happened to me. Buying games makes perfect sense. Makes sense all the time. If you want the game, you buy the game. That's as much sense as it needs to make.
C4 Skills says something that's kind of a disturbing reality. He said, no one owns games anymore. We rent a license.
That is a fact. as soon as last generation hit, owning games, that was cooked.
Oh man, if you spend $70 on something and it says DRM anywhere,
yeah,
it's not up to you, buddy. It's not up to you if you can play it or not. It's up to the company.
You play.
All right.
School says you play the slot they put there. You play Adamfall, dude. I played maybe an hour of Adamfall.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I played like an hour of it, and I was like, nope. And I went to another game that was probably on Game Pass.
Yeah.
You didn't play Adamfall because you had to pay for it, and you don't have a choice.
I don't think. I think there's a misunderstanding, and like because the game's in Game Pass, we have to play it. No,
there's a ton of games that come out every month that I don't play.
Nope.
I play the ones I'm interested in, and then the rest are just kind of like, eh.
Exactly.
And those ones that I'm like, eh, are the ones Cozy are like, yay!
Oh, Cozy loves those games. She can't get enough of those games.
Oh man. Yep. But anyways, but keep in mind, Seawolf, it's on your platform too. You just don't have the ability to play it like we do. Like, you have to pay for it. That's not something to praise to me. It's like saying, man, I can't I literally can't do anything unless, I can't move unless I pay for this thing. But I can move just fine if I, use this service as that's a lot cheaper to get around instead of just paying for something that's not really mine to keep, or like if the servers go down or if something doesn't work, then I still can't play it.
Imagine me watching The Last of Us season 2, and I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good, but you're like, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna buy it and find out if I like it. I'm gonna buy it and find out if I like it, and then if I find out I don't like it, well, then you don't like it, and you just wasted your money. It's that simple. Like,
and then just another layer on top of that, like me and you both own a PlayStation.
Yeah, I have a PlayStation.
So it further throws. I don't know what point Seawolf is trying to make every episode. Like, I don't get it.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, I have the same stuff you have, buddy. Maybe more.
It's waiting. It is just waiting for Death Stranding 2. That's all my PlayStation's doing. That's all
fact.
I need. That's all I need.
All right, let's go on ahead and hop up out of here, though. Please do your little exit.
Yeah.
Matt, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, Matt Likes Games, videos every week, podcasts every week. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern is the two-player podcast, myself and him.
Yeah, so that's where you can find him. I'll be with him on Wednesdays. We had a pretty long show this last Wednesday. It was a pretty good one. Talked about a lot of different stuff. But yeah, you guys will see the show come back probably on Wednesday because Loke is out of town doing some stuff. And so I don't think he'll be available for the early week show like he does with Anything Plus Gaming and whatnot. So we might kind of have a low, or not low, but less shows next week than usual. But we'll definitely be back on Wednesday. Matt will probably be with me on that one, and then next Friday we'll be back for more bullshitting as well. Matt, are you all right over there? Yeah, I think his screen froze. But anyways, we're gonna go on ahead and get out of here, you guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a good weekend. Happy summer to those of you that have children. Have fun taking care of that all summer. But anyways, we're going to get out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.